A look back at the rivalry where the right call was made and a look at what each team did. Something I don't like at all about what Brandon Doman's doing. And two teams that were either putrid or dominant. You decide. Plus, an update on some Jazz end of things, some NFL talk as well as we roll through a Monday edition of Tip Off. Boom, 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 boom. I've become the DVR TiVo master. Boom, 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 boom. Had a bar mitzvah to go to, actually of Jack Emil's son. Got back in at 10:30 at night on Saturday. Boom, 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 boom. And there it was, 2:30 in the morning when I finally finished both games. Having seen Twitter, hadn't seen Facebook, didn't know anything, got the full enjoyment. Boom, boom, boom. It was pretty funny. On the Stanford USC game, I have a bike that's called a CompuTrainer, which simulates a ride. So I went downstairs and rode the equivalent of about 25, 30 miles while riding this thing and had the doors closed and trying not to scream and wake up the entire family and get divorced for waking up the kids at 1:30 in the morning because my supposed football team of the school I didn't go to won. And I was able to do that somewhat. And then I watched BYU Utah in. But what a great Saturday! Wow. I guess unless you're a Cougar, and then you're probably pretty sour about it. But that's what this is all about, and it is, as I said all week last week, and I thought Kyle Whittingham said it well. There's really no rivalry in college football that has had so many endings, so many stories. I thought he said it well. You can say one thing, Johnny Harleen, boom, you know exactly what game you're talking about, and that clearly fan on the field or crowd on the field is another one, and it's really it's a travesty that it's stopping, and I actually the more I think through it, it's a decision that when it was explained by the University of Utah, I thought I understood, and the more now that we're closer to it and we see it, I actually think it's a terrible decision, and I think it's bad for the university. I think they're making a real mistake. I think they got caught in their bubble of competitiveness and worrying about the schedule, and I think they really just forgot about fan engagement, fan interaction, part of the community, what it means to be a Utah fan, what those people who've been with the team for a long period of time. That game's really important, and it means an awful lot, and it has a value larger than that of being in a conference. And even on a year like this one, where I think things could be really tough for Utah going forward, they could end up very easily being 2-5 or 2-6 here. We'll see. I mean, I'm not saying that as a fact, but just very easily. And that win over BYU adds a real element to making that a little bit more palatable as the program gets ready to get up to Pac-12 levels. So we'll see. We'll talk about it more in just a moment. The update from a Jazz end, not a lot of new stuff. Brian reported some things over the weekend. Let me just assure you, I'm not sure what was trying to be implied. I swear there's been a tweet deleted, but I'm not sure of that. Let me just assure you, more than anything else, that the Raja Bell situation is not prohibiting the Jazz from getting anything done. If the Raja Bell situation were to prohibit the Jazz from signing a player or adding a player, the Jazz would end the Raja Bell situation. If you follow Brian's reports, and he's done a nice job on this, the story is that they were close to a buyout. Raja was quoted in one of his articles, and then something happened where they never came to that agreement. My guess that that's something, but I don't know. For all I know, it could have been something else. But my guess is that what Raja thought he was going to get on the backside was a guaranteed contract from someone else, and he didn't. And considering the fact that, the likes of Michael Redd don't have a guaranteed contract right now, I believe, and that Josh Howard doesn't have one, it makes sense that Raja didn't get one, that Josh Childress didn't get one. I mean, the guaranteed contracts for this low-end veteran is just not being handed out this year. That's the first major impact of the new collective bargaining agreement. So he kind of backed off what, at least that's what I'm assuming, again, that this is an assumption, that he's backing off what was his part of the deal and saying, well, actually, I'm not going to take it. Now the Jazz are just kind of waiting it out. Like, let's see. somebody want him, the Jazz can, in theory, include $3 million in a trade for him and get a second-round draft pick back, and they pay for some of it. They control that. So there's no reason for the Jazz to do this buy. The Jazz gain no advantage to doing this buyout if that's what this is going to end. The worst case scenario for the Jazz is that they pay a guy who doesn't play for them and they get nothing for him. Well, that's right now. I mean, that's if they write the check for Raja. That's where we are right now. If in the meantime, it's not prohibiting the Jazz from signing any player or getting anyone they want. I know the roster is at 15, but if the Jazz had a player they wanted, they give him guaranteed money, and the player knows what's going to happen. If the players if they are losing out on someone, it's going to be a non-guaranteed veteran. But what non-guaranteed veteran who's any good wants to come to a team that's got this kind of depth, right? No. Let's walk through the position. No non-guaranteed veteran point guard is coming to a team that has 4 point guards, if you count Randy Foye. No non-guaranteed veteran is coming to the Jazz if they have 5 wing players right now, with Gordon, Alec, Randy Foye as you're playing 2s, Marvin, Gordon, Damari Carroll as your 3s, with Millsap possibly sliding down. No veterans coming, non-guaranteed veterans coming when you have 5 bigs already on your roster. So I really promise you that the Raja Bell situation, which is really all we have right now to talk about, is having any negative impact on the Jazz ability to bring players in. There's just no way. Now, I'm not sure anyone's actually said that, but I want to make sure. I think that's all that should matter to us on this. The only thing the Jazz missed on in regards to Raja was an opportunity to amnesty him. But you're still paying the freight. And since the Jazz are not going over the luxury tax, that wouldn't have garnered a great advantage. Okay? So it's too hard for me to believe that this is having any negative impact on the team. All right, let's talk rivalry. Let's get to the let's go work backwards, and let's talk the final few minutes. The only thing I think is disappointing is after the block field goal, the way the officials made that call, because the call is correct. While the game was live, the field was rushed, but it was rushed as much by University of Utah players as it was by fans. If you go back and watch that replay, the entire University of Utah football team bench comes out onto the field while J.D. Falslove is running around. So that's the right call. There's no question that's the right call. I think it's discouraging that it's called on the fans, who were guilty as well, and anybody who didn't see that coming. Now, if you just miss a field goal and it happens, that's fine. But the minute the fans were that far onto the field, it happens. I've said this numerous times. Fans are allowed to do it. Fans want to do it. I am never one to tell a fan how to do it. By the way, the super sensitive at Locked On Sports tweets I got last night were something else. Woo! Guys, I took a shot. It's called humor. It's kind of supposed to be funny. And my tweet about Chris Hill was funny. Actually, I know humor enough to know it was a good one. I know how many times I got retweeted. It was funny. Let it go. You don't have to send me YouTube videos of every time Stanford had their fans rush the field. Come on. Really? Fans are going to rush the field. I just think the only problem with fans rushing the field is it's only inevitable that a player is going to deck a fan, and I'm going to defend the player. I just want to tell everyone that right now. I'm going to defend the player. At the end of a major rivalry game, something like that, drunk fan, crazy fan, runs up, gets in the face of a guy that's just giving his heart and soul, and the guy decks him. I'm defending the player. I might be wrong, but I'm going to defend the player. Some other thoughts on this game. From a BYU perspective, and you probably can disagree with this if you want to, if you're a BYU fan, but if you're not going to get that game, if you're not getting that one, when are you getting one? And my thought is you've got a veteran quarterback. You've got the best defense you've had in a long time. they're missing their quarterback, their running back, their best linebacker, their best safety. I know it's on the road, and frankly, BYU made enough, really gift wrapped this one in a big way. But if BYU's not beating Utah in this game, where BYU seems to have more of the veteran presence, Utah's recruiting is going to only get better in the Pac-12. To me, that was a really big shift, kind of. That last year's game had so many different things going on with it, with BYU kind of being lost with Jake and the turnovers just that happens, and it was close for a while, and then they run away, and then it was just a steamroll. I don't know. I just thought that this was a game that BYU probably should have won talent-wise, and if they're not getting this one, then they're not. Then they didn't get it talent-wise. They weren't. I mean, bottom line, you didn't beat them. You weren't better. Uh, when does BYU get one? The thought on the BYU, what's going on with BYU? I'm not just from an outsider perspective. I don't. Again, I'm not. I want to clarify this. The guys at 1280 and the other stations as well, frankly, know this stuff better than I do at this point. I'm now in a kind of a 10,000-foot observer rather than a down in the trenches guy. And I don't have the numbers on this, and I don't know if Greg Wrubell actually could tweet this out or if he could figure it out. If any of you want to have the game still on tape, I would love it. I really think the Nitro offense is hurting BYU badly. What I thought I saw was BYU making a nice first down play, making a first good play of a drive, doing some things in that regard well. And then the next thing that happens is they go into Nitro and they botch the either second down play or the next first down play, and it stymies their drives. BYU, in 7 of their first 8 drives, ran 4 or fewer plays. Now, one of those is a touchdown drive, so it's a little misleading. So call it 6 of 8, but 4 or fewer plays. That's terrible. And I thought it was really helping them. And I'm lost on who BYU is watching. I'm really actually pretty undersold on what Brandon Doman's doing right now. The BYU team against lesser opponents that I thought really kicked in a year ago was a combination of Elisa pounding in a physical, strong game. I've always said I thought BYU should be playing the game the way Stanford is. With Riley Nelson's ability to play make, but everything built off that running game. And I didn't see that at all on Saturday. I saw them trying this Nitro Oregon type speed offense. I didn't see a lot of Elisa. When I did, I thought he was fine. Utah's front is obviously terrific, and it's hard to run. But doing what they were doing otherwise wasn't. When you're doing 4 plays or less on 6 of your first 8 drives, you're not going anywhere. BYU's defense is legit, or Utah's offense is terrible. I don't. That's kind of what I said in the opening. I don't know the answers on this. Still, Utah's offense might be awful, but they did, give Brian Johnson some credit. I talked about some of this stuff that John Hayes inside the 40 last year really couldn't get anything done. First in town on the 39-yard line, he goes for the jugular. That was a great play call because there's data that shows you that trying to work your way in on that drive is not going to work. And BYU, if you take that one play 39-yard touchdown drive out, Utah only had one drive the entire game over 25 yards. That is a tribute both to BYU's defense, which is really good. I mean, really, really good. But also Utah's offense has got problems, major problems. John Hayes so very rarely drops back, sets the back foot, and throws the ball when it's intended to go out. So there's no rhythm to the passing game unless it's a quick, 2-step flare out. I thought Brian Johnson, they're so limited. I mean, without Hayes, without John White, and against a pretty good defense. But I thought it was interesting. I saw, the whole thing this year was coming in. We were going to use the spread offense, or that we being Brian Johnson saying that we're going to use the spread offense, and I haven't seen that, or I didn't see that, and I actually like the fact I didn't see that. I'm not sure that that's something that works under John Hayes. I thought I saw Brian Johnson revert back to something differently. And I thought that was a sign of a pretty good flexibility of a very young offense coordinator. Now I'm complimenting a guy whose offense did nothing, but hit a big 39-yard. The snap and the touchdown return on the snap is the game. I mean, those are the mistakes that you can't make. But it was great, great, incredible finish, just awesome. Um, and I think the one thing BYU is going to be fine this year because they have amazing leadership. I mean, you could just Riley Nelson in that press conference afterwards was terrific. And just let's go to Boise and let's not hang our head, or else we're going to get embarrassed. And it's going to be hard. And we're going to see this yearly battle being independents for uh, BYU of trying to stay in a season and staying engaged. And I think Riley will be able to do that for him. Final thing, it's always kind of fun. Um, if the Super Bowl were today, it's Niners Texans, right? That's the two most impressive teams so far. The Niners have been great. Uh, my own and many others thought beforehand that they would regress, could not be further off. The Niners have been absolutely super. The defense is great. It's no clear. They have so many good defensive players. It's hard to decide which one's their best. It's the best way I can discuss how good they are right now. The Texans, despite losing a lot of people in the offseason, Mario Williams and some others, and making some moves people didn't seem to understand, seem to be online. And the other team I would keep an eye on, I'm not sure. I'm totally willing to put all in on them right now. But San Diego fits the narrative of a team that would succeed beyond expectations. Everybody counted San Diego out. But what San Diego did is they got rid of a lot of the skill players that we all know well and the talent of those skill players. And they got deeper. Instead of paying Vincent Jackson a bunch of money, they went and added 4 or 5 guys in depth with that same money. And that's actually the way that you exceed expectations. And so San Diego might have some legitimacy to them. By the way, 0-1 home teams were 6-1 against 1-0 road teams. I told you I love that. The next one I love is any 0-2 home team against a 2-0 road team next week. I haven't looked to see if it's happening, but I would take the 0-2 road team, unless they're possibly Jacksonville. All right. Hope everyone enjoys Monday. I hope there's good rivalry, trash talk, smack talk all around the office, and no one takes it too personally. It's only sports, but it is supposed to be fun, and that's what this is all about. And the Ute fans have the edge to do a little trash talking right now and line themselves up for next. Oh well, okay. Well, let's just line themselves up for one day along the way when we actually play this game. See you.